Welcome to another LineStar tutorial. Today we're going to be going over stacking and how to choose a team stack when you're playing daily fantasy for Major League Baseball action. Tyler is here to help us out, break it down for us, because there's a lot of things to consider when you're creating your lineup and specifically team stacks. Before we get to that, first of all, the notion of stacking has been around daily fantasy for a while. What exactly is it, and how does it benefit people who are playing DFS?
So what stacking is using multiple players from the same team. So what that does in more like kind of mathematical terms is it's adding correlation into your lineup. So if said team that you picked really goes off, then that correlation is going to work for you and give you more players that have potential for a ceiling game or a very high outcome. And to be honest, with baseball DFS, if you are not stacking, you're probably one of the people paying the rake. So you should be. You
ain't first, you're last. You're not stacking. Yes. You're last. There you go.
It's just the chance. Like, okay, just put it like this. For today's slate, for instance, there's 12 games. There is 9 hitters per team per game. You know, so there are so many players to pick from, and just taking, 9 out of that and throwing them into your lineup where they're not correlated, nothing like that, is going to be near impossible to have a high enough score. So, and that's really why stacking is so important, is it makes it easier for us to get a high scoring lineup.
And we got to get those high scoring lineups so we can start winning some money.
The amount of money I'm going to be making would hurt your parents' feelings.
The tools we're going to be talking about are available on the LineStar app, which is a great tool. You basically, if you want to start winning money in daily fantasy, you got to have some projections, you got to have some ownership tools. And at linestarapp.com, that's where we have everything. And we're going to be going through some of the things that you should consider when you're picking a team stack for baseball.
Your ideas are intriguing to me.
The first thing to consider is ownership. Tyler, I know this is one of the first things you do when you head into a daily fantasy slate, building your lineup. On the LineStar app, we have a tool that's right there that talks to you about ownership. And how would you kind of break this down for people that are playing and how important it is to check the ownership?
Yeah, I mean, ownership is just giving us a general idea where the field is moving. Now, the numbers and the projections don't have to be exactly right. We just want them directionally right. We want to know what, team or players are likely the highest owned and what players are just kind of being forgotten about the field. So it's very, very important to go through and check ownership and just see what it is. So, and understand with ownership, each player has their own range of outcomes. So sometimes ownership is really high on a guy just because his median projection across the industry is high, but it doesn't always mean he's a good play, because his range of outcome may be fairly small, meaning his ceiling isn't very high, even though his median projection is.
The next thing to consider when you're building a daily fantasy lineup and trying to figure out which teams you're going to stack is the field conditions, which is super important. So field conditions can be anything from, are you looking at a hitter-friendly ballpark or a pitcher-friendly ballpark? A lot of times we actually have a video on just that, what the ballparks, how they play for fantasy purposes. And so how does that impact how you choose a team stack?
So it definitely has an effect, and I would say it has more of an effect when I'm thinking about it as far as a range of outcomes. So our projections, or any good projection model, should already be considering the weather and the game factors that are, widely known. And so the projections are kind of telling us what the conditions look like, but it's not telling us range of outcome. It's telling us kind of more of a median outcome. So if there is really good weather, really good hitting conditions, there's a little bit better chance we're on the more ceiling side of it than just the median. If we go into our stacking tool here, there's also all of these columns that kind of are showing it. There's the ballpark here, the weather, and a lot of different columns where we can scroll through to see which teams are popping up for every situation.
Right. So
you could also look at the projected owned as far as the stack ownership, sort by the highest projected own or lowest projected own, and really kind of toggle around that to help you make your decision.
another thing to consider is going to be our next bullet point here, and that is the pitcher matchup they are facing. Super important, which is kind of obvious, but how do you take the pitcher matchup into consideration when you're choosing a stack?
So everything we're talking about also comes into consideration with ownership. Now, it's baseball, so literally anything can happen in every single game. We had a guy get pulled after eight pitches last night, and that can happen. So just because it's a really good pitcher, you don't want to totally, cross them out. Let's say that pitcher is extremely high owned, then taking those hitters are a little more interesting if some factors are there, they have a high ceiling, if they go off, the weather's good, all that kind of stuff plays into it.
And again, you can sort by all those columns there in the LineStar app to help inform yourself about their pitcher matchups and what it looks like.
Look what the ERA is, the FIP is, fantasy points per plate attempt, all of that. And then there's another column too where if you click teams here, we have another window that pops up that gives you a little more info. There's the pitcher StatCast data. There is the bullpen data. The bullpen data is very interesting. And when, reverting back to the starting matchup, which matters a lot, the bullpen does too, because the starter is likely only going 5-6 innings. Then it leaves time for the bullpen. If the bullpen is really bad, even a stack versus a good pitcher can go off.
Yeah, absolutely. A good point there. Tyler on the bullpen. Next up, though, we got to worry about that price tag because you may have a really high projected stack, but guess what? They cost you a lot of money, and if you want to go with a more expensive pitcher, that might not work out for you. So how do you take that into consideration when you're evaluating the stacks?
Absolutely. Now, if we go to, say, highest projected, like tonight, highest projected is showing the Dodgers. It's only a 20K stack, so I would be fine with that. That's not too bad. But sometimes you'll have it where the stack is 25K. It's a very expensive stack. In that, it's a case-by-case situation in that spot. Who are the pitchers you're going to play, or what pitcher? If you're trying to pay for an expensive pitcher, you probably can't get that expensive stack in. So you really need to work with the slate. Each slate is a little bit different as far as that.
All right, so when you're looking at this specific stack tool on LineStar, how are you using it on a day-to-day basis? You walked us through some of the important factors, but is there anything else that we're missing here that we can still incorporate?
Every day on our MLB DFS slate breakdown, we do go through it a little bit, and I'm using the tool. So every single day you can kind of look through and see how I am going through it. But I like to click through all of these buttons pretty much, see what their highest projected is, see what the best value stacks are, see what the highest ceiling stacks are, go through the bullpen numbers, and kind of get an idea and see the numbers of pretty much all the teams and how it works together, understand what those range of outcomes are, and then try and figure out where I think the field isn't going where they probably should.
Is there a size stack that you're leaning towards? Does it depend on the contest you're playing? So, what's your advice there?
Yes. All of it matters a little bit. If you're playing on FanDuel, if you're playing in one of the giant contests, I would be stacking 4 every single night. On DraftKings in the same big contest, I would be stacking 5 every night. So it's in both of those stacking the max you're possibly allowed to. Now, I wouldn't really back off stacking unless you're playing, say, a cash game or a GPP that's like under 50 people.
Okay.
When you're under 50, you can stack a little bit less. I would still be stacked, but you don't have to pick a team to go full out stack with. But I probably would most of the time still.
Good information. I'm a beginner and I've just been starting out, so I've been doing really well because I got
You
this
have
guy to
been.
help me out. So that
You've been
really
crushing it.
helps. So hopefully these videos can help you out too. We want you
Yes.
guys to win some money so that you can just crush it out there in daily fantasy. Make sure to check out the LineStar app because we have all these tools. Also, you can add the different stacks, right, to
Yep.
your optimizer, which is another important tool.
I would be using this in more of a situation where I'm hand building or maybe only building, 2-3 lineups, 1-2-3 lineups, something like that. But you find a stack that you like, you add it in, and then there's a lot of different things you can do here. You can, pick your pitchers you want. You can let the optimizer run its magic to see what it pulls up, and then look through all the different lineups to figure out the one you want to play or the couple you want to play. So, I mean, if you really have time building, you could make 150 lineups like this and keep trading out the stacks. It's just pretty time consuming.
Yeah. So the LineStar tool is there to help you out. And just to kind of recap the things that you need to consider for team stacks, it's going to be your ownership, field conditions, pitcher matchup, the price tag, and using that LineStar stack tool and lineup optimizer to help you find the best value in those team stacks. And it's super helpful. Tyler's won quite a bit of money this season, this year, also in basketball, 100K over here.
Yep.
So
It's
I'm
been a
just
good
starting
year
out,
so far.
$10 is
You'll be there.
So we are in it to win it. Let us know if you have any comments, if you have any questions about the stack tool or the lineup optimizer on LineStar. We're here to answer your questions. If you have any suggestions for any other videos that you'd like to see, if you want to see Tyler break something down. Also, he mentioned it during this show, but make sure you check out his daily fantasy show. Every single day, he'll break down some of the team stacks for that day in baseball. Super helpful. It's a nice little primer. It's short, it's easy to understand, and you can go through the LineStar app. Basically, it's a free sneak peek of the LineStar projections for the day, which is super
Every day.
helpful when you're building your lineup. So make sure to check that out as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube, do us a huge favor. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. Also sign up for notifications as well. We're coming out with a lot of content here at LineStar, so make sure you keep up with all the latest from our YouTube channel. Be a part of the Noti gang, as they say, Tyler. All right, thanks so much for watching. Good luck in daily fantasy. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.